Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How is everyone doing today?
Uh,
Happy almost Friday, right?
yeah, my favorite show or my favorite anime series is ending today. I'm so worried.
Nice.
Yeah.
Another hat. Loving it. Matt.
Thank you. Thank you. I got this yesterday. Came in the mail.
Nice. Okay, we're going to warm up for a minute before we um, do our Thunderbird Thursday. So, can you see my screen? Yes? Okay, try that warm-up problem. It says 11 Olympic sprinters are eligible to compete in the 4x100-meter relay race for the USA Olympic team. How many four-person relay teams can be selected among the 11 athletes? So don't hit enter in the chat once you get your answer, but get your answer ready, okay? I'll give you about a minute. All right, so does everyone have their answer to this? Okay, let's put it in the chat. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, I have some different answers. I have some similar answers. So talk me through some of your answers, how you got them. Tell me what you did, anybody.
So I know this one because I got help with a question like this during tutoring yesterday. And
Nice.
the 4 times 100 meter doesn't matter. It's 11. It's 11 Olympic sprinters, and it's a 4-person relay team. So I did 11 times 10 times 9 times 8, and that gave me 7,920.
Okay. So I want you to think about that. So Tashina said that she did 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, 11 times. How many runners are in this? There's only 4 runners total, right? There's 4 runners total that we're picking for the relay. Now, can you run the relay leg more than once? Can you be the first runner and the second runner and the third runner and the fourth runner? No. Does it matter if you're in the front or if you're in the back? Yeah, like if the coach picks you, it probably does matter, right? So you have 11 choices for the first runner, your leadoff runner. But then you only have 10 choices for the next runner. And you only have 9 choices for the third runner and 8 choices for the last runner. So V is absolutely correct, 7,920. Does that make sense? V, I'm so happy that you went to the tutoring center and that they were helpful to you. So good job. Yeah. So most of this is not mathematical understanding. Most of it is reading the words correctly and getting the information out of the problem, right, V? Like knowing that this part didn't really matter, that it was a 4x100 meter relay, like that you didn't need, except for to know that there's only 4 people in the relay and there are 11 people to choose from. Okay. Now, it could have been a different question. They could have just said, how many ways can you pick 4 people for the team? Where I don't care if they're first, second, third, or fourth. That's a different question. And we haven't gotten to those questions yet, right? But when I'm picking in order, then I definitely need the 11 times 10 times 9 times 8. Okay. Let's go back here to Thunderbird Thursday. So taking care of yourself. I know that for some of you it's stressful. This has been a long year online, right? This pandemic has been awful for you, maybe financially, maybe emotionally, maybe all of the above. So you need to make sure you really take care of yourself, okay? I'm gonna put a couple links in the chat right now so you have them. And because I think they will be helpful to some of you, and I just want to make sure that if you needed these resources, you could use them. So there's the first one, and it's the basic needs and academic needs. So if I pull that up, this is MCC's website, helpful resources to students. And notice that it has all these different academic needs for you, like, are you interested, do you need help with your computer? Do you have an accommodation that you need to talk to disability resources for? Are you an athlete? All these different things, test anxiety, test and study skills, transferring, writing. But then over here on the right, which might be more important at this point, is your personal well-being, right? We have resources for childcare, financial crisis, abusive relationships, food. We've been talking about food all semester, how you can get that. Paying for colleges, paying for textbooks, sexual harassment, taxes, transportation, working on campus, all of these things. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself during this time. And if you know somebody who needs some of these resources, that you tell them where to get them, because MCC is really dedicated to helping their community. And we know that it's been super, super hard for a lot of people, right? Whether academically or emotionally or both, right? Especially maybe even financially, right? So make sure that you know that MCC is there and provides lots and lots of resources for you. Too many for me to even list, right? So, and if you're transferring, you'll have a lot of these services at your transfer institution, but know that MCC is also always here for you. Okay, that would bring me to the second link, which is an article on happiness. Have you ever wondered why everybody else seems happy and you don't? And sometimes you pretend that you're happy just because it seems like you're supposed to, because it makes other people feel better, right? You ever have that? So this is an article, and I know some of you are interested in psychology in this class as well. It talks about what is happiness, and this is from Psychology Today, and it talks about how to be happy, right? And then signs of a happy person and exercising self-care. I know a lot of us that we're talking about how we do self-care. And then myths of happiness. Boy, we are duped a lot. We think other people are happy and they're not. Okay. How many of you are still in the mindset that money will solve all your problems? A lot of people think that. If I only had enough money, I would be happy. This is an interesting study that says it's not the millionaires who are happy. It's people who make between $60,000 and $95,000 a year. Interesting. It's fascinating. So if you're interested in psychology, this is a nice thing to do. And to think about it, positive psychology, you know, happiness and health and all of those things. And so here's some misconceptions, right? That a lot of people get stuck in. I'll be happy when I'm married. I'll be happy when I'm rich. When I get my dream job, I'll be happy. I can't be happy if my relationship has fallen apart. I'll never recover from this diagnosis. The best years of my life are over. So those are all misconceptions, right? So really, really focus on what you need to do to help yourself, right? Okay. The last one is 3 positive psychology practices for our troubled times. So this is kind of where some of our mindfulness practices come into play, right? This is also Psychology Today, but I still like it because it has some ideas for you. And it really talks a lot about CDC and COVID and things like that. But practicing gratitude, we've been talking about that, you know, rewiring our brains to notice these very small things that we should be grateful for. Writing a self-compassion letter. Now, tell me if this is not true. If someone else is having trouble, you are so nice to them, right? You show them a lot of compassion. What can I do to help you? Right? You're a good person, all of these things. And yet, if it's ourselves that are feeling not great, we are not very compassionate for ourselves, right? If we make a mistake, we are super hard on ourselves, right? So the idea behind writing a self-compassion letter is being as compassionate to yourself as you would be to someone else. If your best friend needed something, you would do anything for them, right? So why wouldn't you do those things for yourself? So really, really think about how you need to be compassionate to yourself instead of beating yourself up all the time. Okay? And then this was my favorite one, especially right now while it's getting so hot. Take a walk, a savory walk. Wow. I wish I could if I wasn't dying of the heat, right? So some of you, you can still take a nice walk in the morning or in the evening. Okay? So take advantage of that while you can, because soon enough we'll be so hot we won't even want to walk in the morning or in the evening, right? Okay, so those were just a couple things that I wanted to talk about today. The other thing, I don't even know where it is, where it's open in here, but that's okay, I'll find it. See if I can find it. And maybe Judith could help us. I'll put it in the chat, hold on. We are right now having our ASMCC student government elections. Yes? Yeah. So, and as you know, or I hope you know, because we've talked about it enough, Judith is our current ASMCC president, and these are the positions that are available right now. The president, the executive vice president, the VP of communication, the VP of fiscal, the VP of Red Mountain. And some of you are like, okay, first of all, I don't even understand what ASMCC is. That's fine. You can go to the ASMCC website and see, but it is our Associated Students of Mesa Community College, and it's our student government. And you might have remembered student government when you were in K-12. This is a step up from that, because now you're really working with the leaders at Mesa Community College. Some of you might think there's no way I'll qualify to run. You will. So if you have a 2.5 grade point average, that's your current grade point average. That's not like your high school grade point average, right? It's your college grade point average. And you have to have completed a minimum of 6 college credit hours before it starts, which it must start in the fall. Okay, so the position starts in the fall. So if you finish this class successfully, you've done it. It's a 6 credit hour class. So finishing this class makes you qualified for that. You have to enroll in at least 6 credit hours in the fall and in the spring of next year. You have to commit to serve 1 year, an academic year, fall and spring, and leadership experience. So, but you might have, your leadership experience might look different than someone else's, right? You might be a leader in your church. You might have been a leader at your job. You might have been a leader at your school, in a club, in a sport. Any of those things would count as leadership. So there's an online application and there's an election packet. And the virtual elections are going to take place on May 5th and 6th. And I'm pretty sure you could attest to the fact that, number one, you learn a lot about your community at Mesa Community College. You also get to know leadership at Mesa Community College, right? Like the president and the deans and all the people who make decisions. And you also learn about scholarship opportunities, job opportunities, internships, transfers, all kinds of things. So if you are a person who is looking for a leadership position for the future, like you want to be a leader in whatever it is, this would be a great way to get involved. Or if you think Mesa Community College is doing great things or could improve on some things, or a little of both. If you think we need to do better in diversity or inclusion or clubs or anything you think of, if you're passionate about it, you should run and join this organization because they are very good at enacting change on our campus. Do you want to add anything to that?
Wow, you said a lot of things, so I feel like you kind of like mentioned everything. Just that it's fun, like it's definitely a lot of work, obviously, because you're being a leader, but it's definitely a lot of fun, like to be able to kind of get out of your comfort zone and as well as learn. And like she mentioned, you'll meet a lot of people at the college, and so it'll be really fun to like get to know different groups and kind of how the college really works. And then of course, there'll be obviously more in-person things since, we're kind of going back into person. So it won't be like a virtual setting like my year. So yeah, definitely run. And, if anyone has questions, they can, you guys can always talk to me or message me on Zoom.
Great. And poor Judith had a hard year because it was all online, right? So she had it extra difficult. So, but what's nice is our incoming leadership group can think of things that really helps our students from online. And even though we're going back in person, they can make sure that we keep some of those resources, because I think some of those were very helpful to have online as well. And so if we could have a combination of both online and in person, that would be awesome for like our tutoring services, for our DRS, for our career services. You should be able to do some of those things virtually, regardless if we're able to go back to face-to-face as well. Okay, great. So the reason I talked about it is because I don't feel like enough people know about ASMCC or think that it's an opportunity for them. So if it's your interest, it's totally an opportunity. All right, back to math. I know you're excited. Remember we talked about that calculator yesterday? We're going to talk about it a little more today, and we're going to actually use it if you want. Yeah, you don't have to, because we also figured out Desmos scientific calculator also does what we need. So I'll show you how to do it on Desmos as well. I'm going to give you this handout in just a minute. But first I want to talk to you about this formula, okay, that you see down here, because some of you may or may not start crying when you see a formula like that, right? So it says, why would we want to use this formula for permutations when we can just use the basic counting rule? Well, we actually don't have to use this, except for very rarely you might need it, or it might be easier to use it. but we really like that factorial statement. Remember when we talked about factorials yesterday? It's an exclamation point. It's nice to have this notation so we understand it. And we can only use the permutation formula if we're choosing a certain number of items out of a certain number of possibilities. And they call the ones you're choosing R, and they call the total that you're choosing from N. And notice that it says it has to be without replacement and where order is important. Remember, we just talked about that with our running one. It's important who runs first, who runs second, or if we're picking president, vice president, secretary, that's important, right? Okay, so let's look at this formula for a minute. Some people say NPR, right? It's a permutation where you have N items and you're choosing R of them. And this is how you do it. This is what your calculator's doing. You don't really have to do it, okay? So N factorial, so how many total things you have factorial, divided by N minus R factorial. And remember, factorial meant, like if I have 10, let's do 6 factorial, that just means 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, right? That's all it means. Start with the number they give you and then go down until you get to 1 and multiply all them. So that's all it means. So we could have used it on our warm-up problem. So if you want to try the calculator, if you want to look at it on Desmos, the reason we're able to do it is, remember, we can't repeat and order is important. And we had 11 people and we were choosing 4. So if you look right here, there's my 11, that's my N, there's my R, 4. And here's how I did it mathematically if I wanted to do it by hand, but you don't most of the time, okay? 11 factorial over 11 minus 4 factorial, which is 11 factorial over 7 factorial, which is 11 times 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 factorial. And then notice this 7 factorial and that 7 factorial would simplify to 1. That's all the math the calculator is doing. Now, notice we did it this way, 11 times 10 times 9 times 8, and we didn't even need that factorial part of the formula. We didn't even need the P11 choose 4, right? But we could, I think I wrote this wrong right here. What was our answer? Was it 7,000? Yeah, it was 7,920. But let me show you how you can do it on the calculator. Oh, I'll put the calculator in the chat again for you, just in case you need it. And I'll show you on Desmos too. And you'll have access to Desmos and this app calculator if you need it. So this is what it looks like. So if I put 11 as my N because I had 11 runners, and I put 4 because that's how many items we're selecting, and I just hit solve, it'll give me N factorial, but I didn't need that. And it'll give me NPR and NCR. So you would have to know, is this a permutation or is this a combination? The good thing is you don't even know what combinations are yet, so you don't have to worry about it. So it's just permutations. And it is that 7,920, which we got without the formula, right? I'm also going to show you how to get it on Desmos, if I can find Desmos. There we go. So I'm going to clear this. Normally, when you get to Desmos, it just looks like this, regular calculator, right? If you click on this function right there, F-U-N-C, then you'll see the NPR, the NCR, and the factorial button, okay? So if I hit NPR, it's a little bit different than you might see on the calculator. Then you have to go back to the main to get your numbers, and you have to do 11, comma, 4. And then notice it gives me the same answer, 7,920. Yeah? Excellent. Does anyone have one of these guys that they want to know where it is on that menu? Okay. V, is yours the Casio? I can't remember. Okay, so yours, I might have to think about it unless you already saw it, but hold on one second. Yes, good job, you did. Okay, so these are the steps on this calculator, okay? And then V, I'll look at yours in just a second. You might have some of these buttons, I don't know. So on a TI calculator, you type 11 first. So type 11, then hit math. Do you see the button that says math? Okay, then arrow over to where you see a menu that says PRB. Do you see? Use your arrows till you get all the way over to PRB. Very nice. And then the first thing says RAND, the second thing says NPR, the third thing says NCR, and then the fourth thing says factorial. Well, you want number 2. So you can go down to number 2 and hit enter, or you can just hit number 2. So now your screen, I don't think you can see it, but maybe. Now your screen says 11 NPR. Okay, now hit 4, because we were choosing 4, and hit enter. You should get that 7,920. Yay. So it's a little bit different on here than if you do it on Desmos, right? Or that app. So on here, you have to hit your N first before you access that menu. V, were you able to find that at all on yours, the NPR?
No, but I did find that math button, but not the NPR.
All right, I'm gonna find yours. I'm gonna find yours. It might just take me a few minutes. Okay, so but I'll find it. Okay, so you have a lot of options here. I'm just not as familiar with the Casio. This is just a slide reminding you of what factorial means. Now, read through this example. Did I give you the handout for today yet? No. Okay, I'm going to give it to you right now. And then read through the first example on there. It's worked out for you. And then we'll talk about it. Okay? So there's the doc for you. It's the same one that you see on the screen. V, do you have what model Casio do you have? Does it say what number it is?
CG50.
Okay. All right. It's still going to take me a couple minutes on that V, but I promise I'll find it. Okay. So when you read through this, first of all, you'll notice there's a lot of reading in this section, right? There's a lot going on. So it says, in how many different ways can the letters of the word math be rearranged to form a 4-letter code? And I don't really like to say word because remember we talked, they're not really words. So it says, this problem is a little bit different. Instead of choosing one item from each of several different categories, we're repeatedly choosing items from the same category, and the category is these letters, math. So there are fewer choices on the next pick. So you have 4 choices for the first letter, right? And normally when we did this problem, this is a problem we could have done yesterday. We have 4 lines, right? So we have 4 choices for the first letter, 3 for the second, 2 for the third, and 1 for the last. And so you would have gotten 24. Notice you could do on your calculator 4P4, okay? And it will give you that same value of 24. Okay, now, but we could have just thought it through too. We didn't have to. All right. This one is a little more complicated. I want you to read through here because on these problems, we probably can't just use that formula. We might be able to use it on some of them, but not on others. But these problems are similar to what we were doing yesterday. So we're still choosing 4-letter words, but now we're choosing from these letters only. So we're choosing from A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So we have 7 choices, right? And we're only choosing 4. So remember, when I do these problems, I just draw 4 lines when I do them because I think it is easiest. And when it says no condition is imposed, that means it could be any of these letters and it could repeat, it doesn't matter. So if I know I can repeat, how many choices do I have for this first slot?
7.
7. Very nice. 7 for the first slot. How about the next one?
7.
Yep, still 7. And the next one? 7. And the last one? 7. You okay? Yeah, so that was like one we did yesterday. So 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. Now you can't use the permutation formula on there because we have repeats and the permutation formula doesn't let you have repeats. So you can on your calculator do 7 to the 4th power if you want, right? And that'll tell you what your answer is. So for that one, did you get 2,401? Excellent. So on each one of these, you're going to have those 4 slots, but they change the rules on each one. So they say like no letter can be repeated, or each word must begin with the letter A, or the letter C must be at the end, or the second letter must be a vowel. So it's more reading than it is mathematical computation, right? So I'm going to let you try B, and we'll put this one in the chat. Okay, so try just B, and we'll put it in the chat, and then we'll do C together because it's a little more confusing. Don't hit enter yet in the chat. Okay, and V, on your calculator, do you have a screen with a big menu on it? And on the top left, does it say run matrix option?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
mode I'm in.
Okay, good. And then click on hold on, at the bottom of your menu after you're in that mode,
Mm-hmm.
do you see a button on your screen that says, hold on, let me make sure. Okay, do you see, if you click on option, which is not a button on your screen, it's below your screen?
Uh-huh.
Okay, push that.
Okay.
And then click on the one right next to it, or F3 should be PRB. Do you see that? Just below your screen.
Right.
Turn it a little the other way.
So I hit option, and it gave me another little menu at the bottom. Is that the one you're talking about?
Let me see, because that says stat. Now click on option again and see what it does.
Nothing.
Click on the last number, F6, I think it is, on the bottom right.
Okay.
And do you see where it says PROB?
Yes. Now I see it.
Okay, so now click on, underneath that one.
I see it. NPR.
There you go. Perfect. Now you have to put in your number first. So like if you do 11 and then you click that NPR and 4, that'll give you our answer from our warm-up problem.
Yes. 7,900.
Yay! Okay, good. So that's how you get to that menu. Yep. No worries.
Yes. Thank you.
It's like a puzzle, figuring it out. Okay. So, Lily, good. 2401, that was the answer to the first one. Thank goodness you didn't give us the answer to the next one. I thought you were giving it away. Okay. So no letter can be repeated in the word. Did everybody get their answer for that one? Now I want you to think about that. It's similar to the first question, but instead of having 7 choices for each slot, once we use one, it's gone. So instead of 7 times 7 times 7 times 7, you would do 7 times 6 times 5 times 4, right? Okay, hit enter if you put it in the chat already. 3, 2, 1, go. There you go. All right. Did anyone use the formula on that one? Did anyone do P7 choose 4? It'll work on that one because none of them can be repeated. And the 7 comes from their 7 letters up here, and the 4 comes from we're choosing 4 of them. But really, part B is the only one that we can use that formula on. We can't use it on any of the rest of them. So it's kind of a silly formula, right? Okay. Does that make more sense now? Okay. Let's look at part C, because part C is a little tricky. Each word must begin with the letter A, but that's all it says. It doesn't say I can't repeat. It just says the first letter has to be an A. So how many choices do I have for that first letter then?
1.
Yeah, only 1. Then how many choices do I have for the rest of them?
7.
7. Why is it 7 instead of 6?
Because it doesn't take out the A.
Yeah, it doesn't care if I get A, right? It doesn't care. I mean, it would be a stupid thing, right? It'd be a stupid code, but it doesn't eliminate it. So if I do 1 times 7 times 7 times 7, what do you get for that one? Very nice. Look at my chat going. Some of you guys are calculator fast. I appreciate you. If you're not that fast, just don't look at the chat right away. So that one was 343. I want you to try the next one. Try the next one, and then my cat needs to get out. Did you hear him? Yeah. So hold on one. All right, literally I let one cat in and one cat out. Annoying. They did not want to be in the same place. All right, so the next one, what's happening on the next one? Any ideas? Tashina, was that your answer to this one or the last one?
It's the same thing. It
It's the
was
same thing.
just backward or the other way.
Yeah, so it'd be 777 times 1, which is still 343. Does everybody make sense of that? Because then it's just saying the criteria is on the last letter instead of the first letter. They could have said it anywhere. They could have said the second letter has to be whatever, right? And I would still get 343 options. Now, I want you to think about this last one. The second letter must be a vowel. That's the only rule. The second letter must be a vowel. So do we all know what vowels are? How many vowels do we have in this set of groups? Very nice. 2. There's only 2, A and E. So, oh, Lee, you're so fast. Okay, so this is going to be a 2. The other ones will all be 7s because, again, it didn't say I couldn't repeat them. So my answer is going to be 686. Do you see how each one of these is very unique? And it doesn't really follow that formula, right? You just have to read and interpret carefully. Good job, those of you who put it in the chat. Tashina, yes, it's frustrating when you make an assumption that you shouldn't make. So be very careful, right? Yeah, it's just, they get annoying. I promise you. This is probably the most frustrating thing when just it's reading. Okay, any questions on these? You okay? All right. Sometimes they give us annoying ones. If you thought that one was annoying, you haven't read this one yet. Okay, so it says, in how many distinct ways can the digits in the number 1,024,873,849 be arranged? Which, by the way, I wish that was my salary. It's not, in case you're wondering. And I know it wouldn't make me happy, but I don't think it would make me sad. So I'm just going to say that. That's not my salary or even close. So it's okay. So now it also tells you if there are any 0 digits, assume they can be placed in any position. So that's okay. So when you look at these digits, normally if I just count them, if I just go, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 of them. And if I wanted to see how many ways I could arrange them, using each one only once, do you agree it would normally just be 10 factorial? 10 times 9, oh, sorry. 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Do you agree with that? Is everybody okay with that? Yeah. So what makes this annoying? Wait, Tashina, question.
So it didn't say though that we couldn't use it repeatedly. So that I would have got it wrong. Oh, mother. Okay. I'm so not going to do good.
It's that one word. So Tashina, here's what I'm going to recommend. You use a highlighter or something to really read each individual word, right?
Okay.
And maybe work with a tutor or come to my office hours and like, I'll ask you a question like, okay, so what's this saying? And so if you can reword it in your own words, then we'll make sure that you're understanding the question. Okay. So the gotcha in this problem is that, do you see there's 2 4s and there's 2 8s? That's a problem, because we're going to count them as different ways if we do 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, even though they're not going to look different just because it's a different 4, right? So this is kind of like when we did our other probability with cards, when we had to take out those double counting. Remember that? We had to take out that double counting. And notice now this formula says, if you have things that are identical, you have to divide by that. So if you have n factorial, which in our case would be 10 factorial, but now we have to divide by any of these duplicates. So we're going to say 10 factorial divided by 2 factorial, 2 factorial, because I have 2 things that repeat twice. If I had 3 8s, I would do 2 factorial and 3 factorial. Okay? So do you see that this is a very unique problem, and you might run into them on more, but just know that it's only when there's duplicates involved. So here's the best thing. On the Desmos calculator, I can put it in just like this. Okay, so I'm going to go to Desmos, and I'm going to clear all, and I'm going to go 10, and I'm going to go to that functions menu and hit factorial, and then I'm going to hit divided by, so I have to go back to the main and hit divided by 2 factorial times 2 factorial, and it gives me the answer. So Desmos is probably going to be my go-to calculator all the time, this Desmos Scientific, until I get to finance and I have to use something else. Okay, when we get to finance, I will have to use something else.
I tried to do that on this, and I went about it like this, and I got a complete different answer.
Yeah, it won't work. But what you could do, V, is you could do 10 factorial, right, and get an answer. Okay, so your answer to 10 factorial, which is how other people might have to do it too, even with that other app. So you could do 10 factorial, and then you could 2 factorial times 2 factorial isn't that bad, because 2 factorial is just 2 times 1 times 2 times 1. So what's 2 times 1 times 2 times 1?
I'm blanking out right now.
No, I was asking the whole class. I don't know why only V was answering. Yes, same as 2 times 2. What's 2 times 2, Tashina? Yeah. So there you go, 10 factorial divided by 4. So if you just do 10 factorial divided by 4, then you should get that 907,200. Did you get that now?
Yeah, I got it.
Good. And I think it's only on more. I'm almost positive I don't have any of those on your quiz. I think it's just on your more homework where you're going to get some of those. Okay. I just didn't want you to get stuck when you got your more homework and be like, she never does problems like on our more assignment. Because that always irritated me when I was a student. Okay, so that's just a very special case scenario. All right. Deep breaths. This is a long day. And sorry, I just have to talk at you today. It's kind of annoying. Okay, but at least you're paying attention or pretending to pay attention. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's look at the very next one. 6 similar cars are entered in a race. The cars all have an equal chance of winning, and there are no ties. Spectators are invited to complete a single prize ticket with their guesses for which cars will finish first, second, and third. The spectators who guess correctly, first, second, and third, will get a small prize. I'm in, right? I'm going to do this. First of all, I'm not sure I'd ever watch a car race, but that's okay. I do like to win prizes. So part A just says, how many different ways can the prize ticket can be completed? So I want you to think about it. So read the problem again. Make sure you know how many things you're choosing from and how many things you're choosing. Okay? And then get that answer ready in the chat because I think everybody can do this one. Don't hit enter yet. Okay, you guys ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Well, I got a lot of the same answer. That feels good, right? Good. Now, could I have used the permutation formula on this one? Zevi says yes, right? I saw Zevi shake her head yes. Yes, we could because we're choosing things out of a group of things and we can't repeat. And order matters, right? So you could have done P6, choose 3, and you would have gotten that 120. Or you can think of first prize, second prize, third, or so first place, second place, third place. We have 6 cars that could come in first. We have 5 cars that could come in second. We have 4 cars that could come in third. So that's 120 ways. Nice. Any questions on that one? Everybody okay? Okay. Now, that's like what we just learned. Read part B. It says, what's the probability? Oh gosh, that goes back to PC 1 through 4, right? So what's the probability that a spectator will win the small prize? Well, if you remember probability, probability is the number of favorable outcomes or successes over the total number of possibilities. So how many ways can you pick it correctly? First, second, and third.
120.
120 is all the ways that the cars
Oh.
could come in. V is right. There's only one way that's going to be right? Correctly, like the car comes in first, second, and third, whatever, you know, the red car, then the blue car, then the green car, and I picked that. Well, there's only going to be one right answer, right, for first, second, and third. So it's going to be 1 out of 120. That's the probability. Make sense? 1 out of 120. So do you see how we had to use our counting that we did from part A to help us with the probability in part B? Okay, now we're going to take it one step further. I know you love that. Suppose spectators are allowed to have 9 different prize tickets. Okay, so they can have 9 different prize tickets. What's the probability that the spectator who has 9 prize tickets wins the small prize? What do you think? Any ideas? Just tell me what you're thinking. Talk it out loud. Tashina said 9 over 120. Ruki said 1/9. Lily said 3/40. Vanessa said 9/120. Lee said 3/40. Hey, tell me if I'm wrong. 3/40 and 9/120 are the same thing, yes? Do you agree? Okay. So somebody who got 9/120 or 3/40, tell me what you did.
Since there's 9 tickets and there's 120 possible.
Oh, you muted yourself. Hold on. There you go.
Sorry. Since there's 9 options, so like 9 different tickets, that means they have 9 chances out of the 120. Then I
Nice.
divided by 3 to simplify it.
Excellent. So, or you could think of it like this. I have one ticket. Geez, oh, I can't write right now. You have a ticket that has a 1 in 120 chance. You have another ticket with 1 in 120 chance. You have another ticket with 1 in 120 chance. You have another ticket, right? Until you have all 9 of those tickets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you have a total of 9. If you sum these, 9/120, and if you simplify that fraction, it's 3/40. Does that make sense? So do you see how this can get trickier and trickier the more we build on it? We start off easy, and then we go, oh, now we're going to add this piece. Now we're going to add this piece. So it's really important that you understand all the little pieces put together. This is why it's going to be real important for you to show your work too, right? Remember, you have a worksheet that's due tonight on PC6, and some of you already turned it in, which is fine. It's due by 11:59. Show all your work on there so I can help you, right? Okay, so there's it written out again. Now, Tashina's favorite, lots more words on this slide, right? Here's another problem. A housing development offers homes with 4 different options. The homes were built with one choice from each of the options below. So first you choose your number of bedrooms, where you can choose 2, 3, or 4 bedrooms. Then you choose your number of bathrooms. You get to choose 1, 2, or 3 bathrooms. Then you choose the number of floors. Do you want 1 floor or 2 floors? And then you get to pick your type of yard, grass or desert. And there's an equal number of houses with each combination of options. So you want to buy a house that specifically has 2 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 floors, and you don't really care what type of yard. You'll take grass or desert, doesn't matter. Okay? There's only one house left. What's the probability that it meets your criteria? How would we do this? Tashina, what do you
If I
think?
can I walk through it?
Yes.
Okay, so for number of bedrooms, we have the option of 2, 3, or 4, but we already know we want 2, so we would say, we would underline that, the 2 bedroom. And then for number of bathrooms, we already know what we want, so there's 3 bathrooms, so we'd choose that one. And then for number of floors, we already have a choice, so it'd be 2. And then we have 2 choices now for the type of yard. So when I would write it out, I would put down, like we talked about before, the bullet points are each of our lines. So we'd have 4 lines that we'd multiply by. Now this is where I get stuck though, because I'm like, okay, do I put the number 2 because it's 2 bedrooms, or do I just put 1 because out of the number of bedrooms we had 3 options, but we already dwindled it down to 1.
Good.
So
So
I don't know where I go from here.
So let's think about that. We have 3 options and we picked one of them. So the probability that it has the number of bedrooms I have is 1 out of 3, right? Do you agree with that? Now I'm going to multiply that by the number of bathrooms. Well, I had 1 choice out of 3 choices. The floors, I had 1 out of 2 choices. And the landscaping, I had 2 out of 2 choices. Does that make sense? If I multiply all these together, what do I get? Lily, check your math. I got something else. Yeah, I got 1 out of 18, which started out to be 2 out of 36, right? And simplified to 1 out of 18. Okay, now, did anyone think about it a little bit differently? Because what I did was I just found how many total options there were. So I just did 3 times 3 times 2 times 2 and got my 36 as my denominator first, right? Because there were a total of 36 different houses, layouts. And then I said, oh, normally I would say I had 1 perfect choice because maybe I wanted grass. So I had chose everything, but I had 1 out of 36 chance that it was right. But since I had 2 different yards, I just put 2 out of 36, which still got me the same answer of 1 out of 18. But it's a little bit different thinking in your head. It doesn't matter, they both work. So just in case you thought about it a little bit differently, more like what we did before, which figure out how many options we have total, and then how many of our successes would be out of those options. So these get a little more complicated, right? Okay, tell me if my mic cuts out because I think it's beeping in my ear that it's low battery, just so you know. All right, there it is worked out too. Read through this one. There's fewer words. This is the last one of today. There's fewer words on this one, so hopefully it'll be better. All right, so if you're getting tired mentally from what we've been doing today, it's no surprise. The mathematics isn't that hard, it's the thinking that's hard, right? It's the ideas that are hard, right? Okay, so let's just make sense of what's happening here. Somebody in your own words, you don't have to say their names, just tell me what's happening in this problem. Go ahead.
Okay, so without saying the names, you mean like of the
I
last?
mean, you can if you want, but just describe
Okay.
to me what's happening.
Sorry about the baby. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. It would be Erica, for instance, would be 1, and the total amount of people was 8. So it'd be 1 times 8, 7 times, like 7 spaces. And then the second would be Rocco's last, so it'd be 8, 7 times 1. And then that would give you your numbers out of how many times it would occur. And then that's where I got stuck right there. But then my idea was then once I had those two numbers, then I would do my probability, but I didn't get a chance to get there yet. But I don't know, I could have done the whole thing wrong, so.
Okay, so I love how you started thinking about it and you put out basically, you needed 8 lines total, right? I agree with you. Now, does anyone disagree with this number 8 on all these lines? Can I arrive go ahead, who is gonna say
7?
something? Lily?
Wouldn't it be 7?
Okay, do you think it would be 7?
Because you're takeaway Erica or Rokio, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Rocio, I think is how it's pronounced, because I know the person who wrote this problem, and their daughter is named Rocio, which is funny. So I would be more likely to look at 7, but here's a question. Can I arrive 2nd and 4th to the party? Can I be the 2nd person to arrive and the 4th person to arrive? No, I can only arrive at the party once, right? So I can't repeat these people. Tashina's like, yes, I left and I came back. Okay, so let's make sense of this. First, let's just say how many ways can 8 people arrive at the party? Because that's going to be my denominator, right, for probability. How many ways can 8 people arrive? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, I have 8 choices for who gets there first. Yeah? Then what do I put on the next line?
7,
Yeah, 7. Then what?
6,
6.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Nice. Do you agree this is the total number of ways 8 people can arrive? Okay. All right. So, and that's just 8 factorial. I could do that on my calculator, right? And I could do that in a second if I want to and get that number. Now let's worry about this second part where it says, find the probability that Erica arrives first and Rocio arrives last. So I still have these 8 lines, but now I have Erica here. So there's only one way here. And I have Rocio here. And there's only one way here. Yes? Now I want you to think real hard. Erica and Rocio are already accounted for. What number am I going to put on this line? How many choices do I have for who arrives second? There's only 6. Yeah? So what am I going to put on the next line?
5, 4.
Very nice. So
It looks like
I
a
love your
vowel
face.
problem, right?
What?
It looks like a vowel. How many vowels? Yeah, we did before. It's kind
Yeah.
of- yes.
Yeah.
no.
So
Oh,
this is 6 factorial, right? 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because the other ones don't really matter. So it's going to be 6 factorial over 8 factorial. Tricky? Yeah, it is tricky. So if we did that math, we would get these numbers. So 720 over 40,320. So my probability would be 1 over 56. Yeah, that's a hard problem.
So wait, how do you get the 1 over 56 again?
I just simplified this fraction. My calculator did it. I didn't. Yeah, so if I just go over to my Desmos and I go, okay, 6 factorial divided by 8 factorial, and I hit that button, it tells me the answer. The hard part is knowing that it's 6 factorial divided by 8 factorial, right?
Desmos
Yeah.
is so much better than this because I had to do so many more buttons. Just
I know,
get that.
V, I don't even use mine anymore. Seriously, I don't even, I have like a million of these and I don't even use them anymore because Desmos is amazing. So that's all I'm using, Desmos. Yeah. By the way, you can get Desmos for your phone too if you want. If you're annoyed with changing screens, you shouldn't use Desmos on your phone during the test, right? But during, like while you're doing your more homework, you could totally do it on your phone. So Desmos is a free app, just in case you want to find it. You can get the Desmos Scientific app. Okay. Okay. You survived. I know it was awful. This is a bad day. Good thing I don't see you till Monday, right? Yeah, it's a rough one. So look at all the stuff you have to do. Your PC6 worksheet, make sure you turn it in by tonight. Your more practice is due by tomorrow night. You have PC7 mini lesson and reading quiz. And then don't forget about your video. Yeah? Don't forget about your video because you'll want to get that done, yep, by Tuesday. So I'm going to put the exit ticket in the chat. It's a nice exit ticket, I promise you, because I knew where we were ending and I didn't want to torture you. You should do fine on the exit ticket. Okay, remember you can work ahead. You have a quiz next Thursday or Friday. I'm going to let you take it Thursday or Friday. Okay, so don't get behind. Getting ahead is a great idea. I would get all my review done except for the parts that are from PC7. So then I was ready with what questions I needed help on. Okay, have a great weekend. Thank you for being so patient. I'm so sorry I had to talk so much today. I hate it, but this is just a weird section. Zevi, Josh, V all got it right so far. I love it. On your exit ticket, good job. Lily, good job.
All right, guys. I'll see
Thank you.
you later.
Lee, good job. Bye, Josh. Good job, Matt. Josh got it right. You guys are doing awesome.
That was the first exit ticket right in a while.
Yay, Matt.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye. Good job,
Done
Yudit.
it.
Good job, Zach. Danessa, check your math again. Just check your calculator. Tashina, good job. I think you just put in the wrong number, did you?
Yeah, I instead of doing 15, 14, 13, I just skipped the 14. I did 13 and 12.
Because I was going to say your number was off enough to where I was like, she just hit a wrong button for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Good job, Rookie. Good job, Tashina. See, we're going to end on a positive. No, today is a rough day. I will tell you. That's why these two sections are last, right? There's a reason. Hang in there. You'll do fine.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yep, bye.
Have a nice weekend.
All right. Bye. You too.